It is important in carpentry to identify the tools and equipment according to classification, specification, and job requirements. Let's find out on today's lesson. Happy day, everyone! Kumusta na po kayo? You know, we miss you, all of you, inside our classroom. But for now, we are not allowed to do a face-to-face discussion. I did it, a simple video discussion for all of you. I am your presenter, your resident teacher, but not just muscular, but also handsome, Sir Mac, at your service. Our previous lesson is we talk about principles in preparation of carpentry tools and construction materials. I discussed the way in preparing tools and construction materials in carpentry. First, that you need to remember is to state the name of the project and date when you request for materials. Second, I fill in classification of the project and its purpose. Next is the list unit of materials to be requisitioned and enumerate the materials with their description. Next is the list of cost per unit and the total cost. Next is write your name as requisitioner. Lastly, required approval of authorities concerned. This time, we will proceed in our next lesson. Before that, I encourage you to get your notebook, pen, and together with your LAS module, Quarter 3, Week 2. Notes is important so that if you are having a hard to think of about our previous lesson, you may check down, will serve as your reminder. So, carpenter, construct, install, and repair a variety of residential, commercial, and industrial structures and fixtures in general. Carpenters work with wood, steel, and concrete. Carpenters are also often involved with demolition and maintenance of these structures and fixtures. At the end of this lesson, you must be able to classify different tools used in carpentry. Check the condition of tools and equipment. And lastly, identify and labeling which are functional and non-functional tools and equipment according to classification. So, our topic for today is about carpentry. Carpentry, it is important to identify the tools and equipment according to classifications, specification, and job requirements. Also, segregating and leveling, which are functional and non-functional tools and equipment according to classification, is a foremost step before doing the task. Using a tool for the task, it is intended helps to keep it in its best shape. This reduces unnecessary damage and protects the user. It is also important to check whether the tools are in the right condition before using them. Now, let's discover the different classification of hand tools in the carpentry. The first one is measuring tools. Measuring tools under measuring is pull-push rule. Pull-push rule is a flexible tape that slides into a material case, and it's used to measure irregular and irregular shapes. Next, ruler. Ruler, a 12 inches or 1 foot rule, and it is used to make simple measurements. Third is meter stick. Meter stick is used to measure a work piece. Another is tri-square. Tri-square is squaring, measuring, and testing tools used to check the adjacent. And lastly, under measuring tools is caliper. Caliper is used to transfer measurements from the rule to the work. Now, let's talk about the different marking tools or lining tools. First, a line is pencil. Pencil is used to lay out or work cutting lines. The marking gauge. The marking gauge is a wood or metal tool consisting of a beam, head, and a point used to mark a line. And of course, in the parallel to grain of wood. Next is chalk line. Chalk line is used to establish a straight line on a surface. Next is the divider. Divider, a tool with two metal edges used to lay out our circle or step of division on a line. The next is compass. Compass is used to describe areas and circle in a metal. For the third qualifications of hand tools, we have testing tools. Under testing tools is the tri-square. Tri-square, this is a tool used in squaring, measuring, and testing the squareness of a wood. Second is steel square. Steel square, a framing square used to mark out the work for squaring and checking of angles, and it is used in the construction of roof framing and large furniture. The next is spirit level. These tools is used for testing vertical and horizontal surfaces. Lastly, under the testing tools is the plumb bob. Plumb bob Tools used to test and vertical and horizontal surfaces. Oops, we are not yet done. We also have cutting tools under the classification of hand tools like chisel. Chisel is used to trim and shape wood. Next is plane. Plane, it is used to obtain a smooth and flat surfaces. Next is spoke shade. Spoke shade, a small plane like tool from irregular shaped objects. Under the cutting tools is cabinet scraper. These tools is a rectangular place or piece of steel with two cutting edges used for working flat and curve. Club shape, we also have cross-cutting saw. Cross-cutting saw is a saw used to cut wood across the grain. Next is rip saw. Rip saw is a kind of tool. It's used to cut wood along the grain. Under the cutting tools is back saw. Back saw, a hand saw with a metal back and plywood and joinery. Next is compass saw. Compass saw used to cut irregular shape either in a large or small board. Next is turning saw. A turning saw is used to trim, cross, and cut curves in lumber. There is also cutting saw. Cutting saw, a U-shaped saw used for cutting irregular shape in a small board. Last, under tools is dovetail saw. Dovetail saw, it is a small back saw with a straight chisel, types of handle used to cut every line or fine joints. The fifth, we also have boring tools under the classification of hand tools. Under boring tools is auger bit. Auger bit is used to use tools to make hole in woods. Next is expansive bit. Expansive bit is a tool used to drill holes of various sizes in woods. Next, drill bit. Drill bit is a tool used for boring holes either in metals, woods, or plastics. Another is miscellaneous. So in miscellaneous tools, under the classification of hand tools, first, under miscellaneous tools is oil stone. Oil stone is used for sharpening edge cutting tools such as chisel. Second is files. Files is used to smoothing metal and wood surfaces. Next is paintbrush. Paintbrush is used to apply paint or varnish on wood surfaces. Next is nail set. Nail set used to drive the head of nails lower than surface of wood. Next is saw set. saw set used to bond the upper half of each tooth to one side or the other to form a set. Lastly, under the classification of hand tools is PPE or personal protective equipment. First is ear protector. Ear protector is used to protect the ears against high frequency noise. Next, face mask used to prevent the inhalation of spread paint fumes. Next is gloves. Glove is used to protect the hands while working. And last on our list is apron. Apron is used to protect the worker against flying debris. Now, let's proceed. In the procedure in segregation or segregating and level. Now, functional tools and equipment. To do it first, you must conduct an inventory of tools and equipment. Next is record the number of non-functional tools and equipment. Third, segregate tools that are serviceable or unserviceable. Next is report the number of tools and equipment that are non-functional but subject for repair. Next level tools and equipment which are condemnable. Lastly is to return the tools and equipment in tool cabinet as per operating procedures. I will also share the procedure in checking condition of personal protective equipment. First, inspect any damage or defective personal protective equipment or PPE. Second, test the functionality of each PPE. Third is a separate the non-functional and functional PPE. Next is repair. Replace the non-functional PPE and report the condition or status of PPE. There you have it, students, the different classification of hand tools and their uses in carpentry. But we are not yet done, so stay tuned. Now, it's time for some activity. For this activity, the instruction is very simple. Before that, get your last module, Quarter 3, Week 2. I want you to arrange in chronologically order the procedure in segregating the leveling of non-functional tools equipment, number them from 1 to 6. I will give you 5 seconds to think. Are you ready? So let's begin. What do you think is the first procedure? 5 seconds starts now. Yes, conduct an inventory of tools and equipment is the first procedure. Next, what do you think is the second procedure? Time starts now. Correct. Record The number of non-functional tools and equipment is the second procedures. Now, what do you think is the third procedure? Time start now. Is segregate tools that are serviceable or unserviceable is your third procedure? Yes, that's correct. You are doing great. Let's continue. Now, what do you think is the next one after segregate the tools that are serviceable or unserviceable? Your 5 seconds starts now. The fourth procedure is reporting the number of tools and equipment that are non-functional but subject for repair. Next is 5 seconds starts now. The next one is level tools and equipments are condemnable. For our last procedure, what do you think it is? 5 seconds start now. Genius! Return tools and equipment in the tools cabinet as per operating procedure is the last procedure. Well done, students. You are all fine and brilliant. Well, I am not going to leave you without giving you this instruction that serve as your reflection for your lesson for today. For your reflection, I want you to answer these questions. Why it is important to check first the condition of tools and equipment before doing the task? There you have it, students. We are now done to another part of our lesson. I hope you've learned so much for this day. Once again, I'm your resident teacher, not just muscular, but also handsome, Sir Mac at your service. Your grade 7 theory teacher, leaving you with a quote. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Thank you for watching. Keep safe, everyone, and see you next time.